it's doing is it's recording what's on the screen. That's it. So it can't see anything else. Okay, so today we're going to do points, lines, and planes. That's our first topic in geometry. We're basically going to do a lot of definitions today because in geometry we can make anything using a point, a line, or a plane. Okay? Those are the building blocks, and I'll go through all of it in that paragraph and everything like that. But yes, that is this what is recording? All right, there's a box in the bottom corner. Anyways, all right. So, and a little bit more background. So last year when you were in Algebra 1, y'all did a lot of like solving equations and stuff like that, right? So geometry uses algebra, but with shapes. So we're still going to solve equations. We're just going to use pictures. That's what geometry is. So if you're kind of sketchy on algebra, don't worry. I'll help you. And by the time you leave here, you'll be ready for Algebra 2. You can solve equations in your sleep. All right, here we go. All right, historically, geometry is described as being Euclidean. I know you don't know what that means. I'll explain in just a second. So historically, geometry is described as being Euclidean or non-Euclidean. Right, so since we don't have textbooks, ooh, hold on, can y'all still see it pretty good if it's like that? Okay. So since we don't have textbooks, we do kind of have to define things just a little bit in our notes, right? So this would be like a paragraph that I would read you in our textbook if we had a textbook. All right. So it was named after the Greek mathematician Euclid. So that crazy name is just some guy's name, the guy that created geometry. And he created 13 volumes of the elements of geometry. Okay? Euclidean geometry is based on figures in a plane. All right. I will tell you I like to switch colors as well. I like to change colors of my pens just because it makes it pretty, makes it fun for me. If I ever change colors and there's a reason that I changed a color, I'll tell you. Like this color goes with that. But for the most part, I just change pens because I like to make it colorful. All right, non-Euclidean geometry is based on figures in a curved surface. All right, so that sentence right there tells me that if it's non-Euclidean, right, so there's two different kinds, Euclidean, non-Euclidean. If it's this one, it's going to be on a curved surface. That means it's like three-dimensional, right? It's not flat. Something that's curved, and I think it goes on to say it. Yep. So spherical geometry, something like a sphere, like the Earth, would be non-Euclidean. Does that make sense? Something three-dimensional. In this course, we're going to be just Euclidean. So that means we're going to be two-dimensional. Most of the year, we will be two-dimensional. You don't have to worry about 3D stuff. Okay, and let's see. I lost my place. This course is based on Euclidean geometry, and Euclidean began his system using three terms: a point, a line, and a plane. So those are the three things he came up with. These are accepted, and we can scratch out that. They are accepted ideas and are not defined. When I say that they're not defined, that means I can't go to a store and go buy one. Like I can't go buy a point from the dollar store. Okay, I can't go pick up a line and say, here, Haley, have a line. Okay? And then that plane, it's not an airplane. It's not something I can go, and I'm throwing pins. It's not something I can go pick up. Okay, that's what it means by undefined. It has a definition, and we'll define it as far as definition with words, but it's not tangible. It's not something I can go pick up. All right. So, because they're not defined, these three undefined terms, sorry, I've already done it once, so I guess I'm jumping ahead. So these undefined terms, point, line, and plane, are the building blocks, right? I told you this already. I can build anything in geometry using a point, a line, or a plane. They are the building blocks. Wow, okay, yep. No one's going to tell me my mistakes? Y'all are just going to let me struggle, aren't y'all? I see.
I thought it was like,
It looks a little funky.
It looked, okay. So tell me when I make a mistake, please. It's okay. All right. So they are the building blocks of geometry. Because they are undefined, we have to use examples and descriptions, right? So because I can't go buy one and give it to you, I have to use an example or I have to describe it. Yes, Miss Shupak makes lots of mistakes, and I cannot spell worth anything. So if I spell something wrong, I will tell you, math class, babe, math class. All right. It's all right. No shame. No shame in Miss Shupak's game. All right, now we're going to define these undefined terms. So we're going to write the definitions, or we're just going to fill in the blanks. So the first one I have is a point. So a point names a location, and it has no size. Remember we said it was undefined. So it's not anything I can pick up. It's just an imaginary speck somewhere. It has no size. It just names a location or an object. We are going to represent it using a dot. Right? We're just going to put a dot on our paper. And points are found in all geometric shapes. So if you have a shape, it's going to have points. All right. So I'm going to look at my diagram. It already drew it for me. Okay, they want me to name this, so I need to be able to represent it and I need to be able to name it. So to represent it, all it is it's a dot, and then usually it's going to have a capital letter next to it. When I want to name it, if you want to write it out, I could write point P, and that's fine. Some people want to write point just so they know that there's no second guessing, they got the answer right. Or I could just put a capital P. If it tells me to name that point and it's just one point, all I have to do is put that capital letter. What happens when I add points? So let's say in our picture, let's put point A and point B. Now it wants me to name all the points. All the points that are in that diagram. So how many dots are there? We added 2 extra ones, so there's 3 total, right? If I was to name them, how would I name them? It's not a trick question. You can do this. We could list point A, point B, point P, or I could put A, I could put B, and then I could put P. Can I list them just the way they are, just like this?
No.
Why?
I don't really know why.
It's because if there's going to be a line, it has to be connected.
I'm loving the answers. Okay, so they're already, I know I spaced them apart, so I spaced them apart pretty good, but they're already kind of together. I'm missing something because it wanted points, and this to me doesn't represent a point because there's no separation. Okay? Lane was talking about the hats that come later. So if you look down here, you see the line on top, that's what he was talking about. So that was right train of thought, wrong stuff just yet, right? So all I need to do here is add commas so you know that they're separate. When you're listing points, and I'm not going to be mean, right? Like on a test, if you list the points without commas, I'll probably put the commas and be like, shame on you. But you know what you're doing, so I'm not going to count off points because you missed a comma. If you know the math, I'm not going to take off little points like that. Does that make sense? Okay. All right. The next one. So, how many letters do I need for a point? 1. Just 1. 1 letter per dot. So now I'm on to a line. Okay? A line is a one-dimensional straight path. So a one-dimensional straight path that has no thickness, width, so no thickness or width. So just like the point, it doesn't really exist. It's just invisible out in the middle of nowhere. But it extends indefinitely. What does indefinitely mean? Forever. So it extends indefinitely in opposite directions. Remember, it's a straight line, so it's going to go forever. I mean, it doesn't have to be to the left, but forever to the left, forever to the right. Okay, that's what these arrows mean. Forever this way, forever that way. Okay? In geometry, we have a lot of symbols that are used as like abbreviations, right? So for room, instead of putting R-O-O-M, I would put R-M, and you would understand that as room. So in geometry, we have these little symbols that represent words. So instead of writing line, A-B, I can put hats on top of things. We're talking about a line, so our hat has to look like a line. Does that make sense? Okay, so when I draw something, if I'm talking about a point, I'm not going to put, this line with the arrows on top of it because it's not a point. It's a line. Now, if I need 1 point, let me think. Let me rephrase. If I used 1 letter to name a point, how many points or letters do you think I need for a line? Minimum. I need at least 2. So I can put 1 point here, and then another point in Argentina, and I can make a line. Does that make sense? Any 2 points anywhere will make a line. For the most part in our class, you're going to do what's shown. So if it's not drawn on the picture, I'm not going to make you come up with it. Because in math and in geometry, if I put another point here, we can make all kinds of lines. Does that make sense? And it would literally take me forever to grade stuff. Okay. All right. So I need 2 points to make a line. And then there are several ways to name this one line. So this is what I was telling you. There's several answers. So I can name it by writing the word, line, and the letters. All right, so it has 2 letters on the line, so that's what I'm going to use to name it. Or I can replace the word line with a hat. So I'm still going to keep my letters, but I'm now going to put the hat on top of it, and now it becomes line AB. It's a line that goes from A to B. And then since I have my arrows, I know it's going to go forever. Everybody good? All right, give me another way to name this line. B-A, good. So I can reverse those letters. God, okay, that pen needs to go away. All right. I can reverse those letters. Okay, what am I missing? The hat, good. So, AB and BA, regardless of what order it's in, same line. Now, they threw a little curveball at us because they put this little cursive L off to the side. So that is a third way to name these. Actually, yep. So this one way, the hat's a second way. The third way is to write the word line and use the little cursive letter. So anything that's cursive, you can name on its own. Okay. Yes, ma'am. Not during instruction. I'll let you go after we're done. All right, any questions so far? So review, capital letters for points, and I only need one letter per point, and then capital letters for line, and I need two, or a single lowercase letter. This is a lot of stuff, so if you don't remember it all, it's fine. We're going to do it again tomorrow. Okay, so no stressing right now. All right, a plane, the last one. So we did a point, we did a line, now we're going to do planes. It is represented as a flat surface. Okay, it's a flat surface. It has no thickness, width, or depth. So just like the points and lines, it doesn't exist. It's just invisible. It also extends forever in all directions. It extends forever in all directions. Okay, so we need to wrap our mind around this. It's a flat surface that basically is invisible, and it goes forever in every direction. Is that something we can work with in a class like this? Like, can I calculate things that go on forever? No. Okay, so in geometry, we're going to use shapes as our planes. Right? Most of the time, they're going to be boxes. It can be anything. It can be a triangle. It can be a hexagon. It can be some weird shape that makes no sense. It can be the shape of Smithville. Okay, it can be anything. But we're going to have to put some borders on it so that way we can do some calculations. Does that make sense? Okay. Now, if we needed one letter for a point and two letters for a line, how many do you think we'll need for a plane?
3.
At least 3. Okay? At least 3. So, if I'm looking at this plane, what are some ways I can name it? Because, oh, go ahead. She's already telling me how to do this. Okay, so there is a little cursive R. So we're switching gears. There's a little cursive R in that bottom corner. What did I tell you about the cursive letters? They can stand alone. So I can put plane and then that little curly QR. I don't know how to do a curly QR, so all I'm going to do is a capital R with a tail. Okay, I don't really care as long as you put like a little tail on it. I can tell that it's supposed to be curly. All right, that is one way to name them. We were talking about using 3 points though. So what's another way to name them using the points? Because does R have a point next to it? No. So this is not a point. This is just for the plane. Okay, lots and lots of little rules. I know. I'll keep reminding you of them. So now somebody tell me how to name this plane with using some letters. A, B, C, or CBA, BCA, anything else? A, C, B, bunch of different, like any combo, right? Any combo. All right, before we turn the page, I'm going to throw a curveball at you. We're going to add a point. So add it exactly where I added it, please. And we're going to call it D. All right, somebody tell me how to name this plane using D. No, not just D. You're close. D-A. B. D-A-B is good. Give me another one. C-D-A. That's the one I wanted. Is that an answer? Yes. Are all 3 points inside the box? Yes. So check. I needed 3 points, so check. But what's that last little bit that it says?
No, one.
Okay, so if I list this and you trace it for me, is it going to make a plane?
No.
What is it going to make? Okay. So can I use ADC? No. Not for a plane. I can use it for a line, but not for a plane. So A, C, D, or any combo of those. And I know that kind of looks bad. So ADC or ACD, DCA, any combo of those 3 letters is a no-no because it makes a straight line. So if I'm highlighting, we want it not in a straight line, so this is a straight line. Does that make sense? Not yet. It will, I promise. It will. We'll practice. Okay? I don't know how to turn that. So R is something completely separate. It's not a point, it's not anything. It's just a cursive letter. Okay? If I'm just looking, I want you to ignore R and just get rid of it for right now. And we're just going to look at the points. Okay? So, a while ago, you told me, we said A, B, C. If I trace that from A to B to C, and then I have to close it, okay? So you do have to trace back to the closer. Did that make a shape? So that is a plane because it made some sort of shape, okay? When I trace, when I do ACD, when I trace from A to D to C and go back, does that make a shape?
No.
What does that make? Okay, so can we tell the difference now? Yes. All right, super teacher moment. Okay, good. You got to celebrate the small things, y'all. All right, last little bit. Euclid used the undefined terms and the definitions of other terms for postulates. Okay, these are fancy words, okay, for the rules in math. So our rules are called postulates, axioms, and theorems. O-R-E-M-S. Okay, theorems is hard to spell. It's T-H-E-O-R-E-M-S. Fancy way of saying the rules in math. Everybody good? All right, we're going to keep rolling. We are almost there. We're going to make it to example C, so that way you know there's a stopping point. We're not going to make it all the way through the notes today. We're going to stop at example C. All right, this was second period. All right. Anybody have any questions so far? Y'all good? Okay. Points that lie, okay, so more definitions, okay? Points that lie on the same line are called collinear. So the last class period, I broke this down and talked about them, each one. I want to fill in all the blanks, and then that way I can stand up there and talk to y'all, if that's okay. Not that y'all have a choice, but, you know, I'm trying to be nice, explain some things. So points that lie on the same line are collinear. K, L, and N are non-collinear. I know it doesn't make sense right now. I will explain. Points that lie on the same plane are coplanar. Otherwise, they are non-coplanar. Okay. A few more seconds to finish writing. We're going to go to English class for one time in math. Okay? Sentence prefixes and suffixes or whatever, root words, whatever all that stuff is, right? I want you to think about Miss Wood and I. We work in the same place, right? Same school. What are we called? If you work in the same location. Co-workers, right? Co-work. Make sense? We work in the same place. Collinear. What's the root word? Line, right? Or linear. What does linear mean? A line. So if I'm looking at this, my root word is line. So if Miss Mark and I work in the same place and we're called co-workers, what does collinear mean?
Same line.
The same line. Good. So I have points on the same line. Does that make sense? So if they're non-collinear, what does that mean? They're not on the same line. So if I'm looking at my picture, what is the only point that's not collinear?
Oh.
Oh yeah, we're looking at not that one. This one. N is not on that line. It's non-collinear. Okay? If I was to list them and I told you I need 3 points that are non-collinear, do they all 3 have to be off that line?
No.
I can have K, L, and N. Are those collinear? Can I make a straight line with those? So only one of them has to be off. Does that make sense? Not all 3. Just one of them has to be out. All right, now think about coplanar. What's the root word?
Same plane.
The same plane. So my root word is that plane in there.
Just be in the same place.
In the same box.
Yeah.
Okay? So if I was to think about non-coplanar, what point would have to be in my answer? P. Has to be in your answer if it's non-coplanar, because it's the only one that's outside. Does that make sense? Yes? Remember, you're working with what is shown on your pictures. Okay, so I'm going to write 3 examples, and we still have good time. I'm going to write 3 examples. I'm going to give you some time to write the questions. If you would like to answer them, it's your choice. We're going to answer them as a class, but if you want to see if you can do them, by all means. So the first one, I want you to name the plane. We've already done it. Or no, we haven't done it. And I'm going to use this picture. Okay, so name the plane. The second one, I want you to give me 3 collinear points. And then the third one, 3 non-coplanar points. Okay, those are your 3 questions. And I want you to name them. List them all, or whatever. And just one answer is fine. So like for this one, I know there's like 6 answers. Just one. And that's if you want to try. You are more than welcome to just write it down and wait for me. We needed to go to the bathroom. Do you still need that? Okay. All right. I'm not going to ask anybody just yet, but I will ask, does anybody want a little bit more time to try to answer? Okay. I'm going to go ahead and go then. All right. So the first one, it tells me to name the plane. Are there any cursive letters? No. Nope. So I know I have to have at least 3 points. Okay? Anybody want to tell me the one rule besides having 3? It cannot be what? Those 3 points cannot be
And a line.
in a line. Okay, so anybody want to tell me their answer?
And
They can be plain, they can play, yeah.
There it is. 3 letters, K, N, L. So anything within. Any combination of those, as long as N is in there. I can have K, N, L, L, N, K, N, L, M, M, L, N, L, N, M, K, L, N. I mean, there's so many answers. Okay, any combination, but N is your key because it cannot be in that straight line. And I cannot have a P. So if you had P at all, that's outside the box. That's a no-no. All right, what about collinear? 3 collinear points. So 3 points that I can draw a straight line through.
KLM.
K, L, and M. It is 3 answers. So hopefully you put your commas. 3 answers. What about, well, no, I'm not even going to do that. So, yep. 3 non-coplanar points. There's 1 letter that has to be part of your answer. P. And it really doesn't matter what the other 2 are. You can have P and anything else that you want. So L and M or N, as long as one of them is outside of the box. All right, how are y'all feeling? Okay, we're going to do the thumbs up thing? Okay, how do you feel? Good? I have no idea what you're talking about, miss. Never seen a point in my life. All right. If you're halfway, that's fine, because we're gonna do it again tomorrow. It'll be a little bit more fresh. Because when you trace them, remember it has to make a shape. It can't be a straight line. And N is the only one that's off the line. Does that make sense? Okay. Yes, ma'am. Oh, we're gonna get there. We're gonna get there. Hold on. Let me let everybody start, and then I'll come back to you. Okay. So, I need to come back. Okay, I have to explain this first, and then we're gonna do these examples. Okay. So, a little note. A dashed line indicates. Okay. It's not like crazy important, but you have to know what it means. A dashed line indicates part of the figure that is unseen. So it's 3-dimensional, in other words. Your picture, if it has dotted lines, it means it's 3-dimensional. If you look, I'm going to explain the picture because there's dotted lines. Okay, come on now. Opposite. There we go. There's dotted lines here. That means that it exists, right? That exists, but it's behind this. So when you're thinking about it, your picture, this box here, the one straight up and down, looks like this, right? The diagonal one here, it looks like this. And they just put them, they cross them, right? It makes an X. And you can't see this part back here. That's what those dotted lines mean. You have to visualize that it's like this. And you can't see the back part. Does that make sense? Okay. So, this is a flat surface, that's a flat surface. I want you to try A, B, and C. Okay? At least A. You should be able to do at least A. C is going to be the most difficult one. I'm going to give you like 2 minutes. Okay, remember in geometry, I can make all kinds of different lines. So on B, if it wants 2 lines, I can make a line from A to D. Okay, if you're going to do that, that's fine, but it's gonna take me forever to grade the test. So I would list the ones that are shown, just my opinion. Okay, everybody should have A, because I kind of want y'all to do the exit thing. Well, does the F have a dot? So is it a point? So this is not a point. Uh-oh. Don't go to sleep. Wake up. Dang it, I was too late. Oh, good. Okay, so the F is not an actual point. It just names this plane. So you can use it on C, but not on A or B. And now this thing is frozen. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you that in recording books.
Yeah, it's frozen. I'll have to reset it. Okay. Well, we're gonna stop from there, and I'm gonna do. What time is the bell ring? 5 minutes. I'm not gonna do the exit ticket thing. I would like you to try. If you want me to check before you leave, that's gonna be. It's the same thing as your exit ticket, except I was gonna have you use your initials. That's all. These are the same.
You get one.
Use A, you can do F, that works, but for the A one, you have to use 3, because that's point.
Yeah, honestly, I don't care about it. I can't make fun of it.
No.
Oh, it's not a point.
Right.
What?
Yes.
It's fine. It's Italian. They came from my dad's dad. It came from my dad's dad, so I have technically I'm Italian. Or Italian. Why do you do that? Because they just put me in the class. I didn't have a geometry. And I was like, okay. And then they just put me in there. They didn't give me no story. See, they didn't give me no story. They just said, you're going in this class. That's it.
Anybody else want me to chat? Okay, we will finish the notes tomorrow. Okay, so don't lose them. Now I have to reset this thing.